Lant bounded out of the classroom, apologizing and asking anxiously if the girl had troubles. She poured out her sad tale, blaming the tight schedule for losing her boyfriend. Her choice also left her family full of doubts. Lant didn't elaborate, he just offered a shoulder to lean on. Her family remained skeptical of her lonely fight. As a teacher, Lant faced family disapproval. His wife constantly complained about his work dedication. She ignored her youngest son's consistently last-place math grades, blamed him for neglecting his health, worked overtime, taught literacy at night, and even found time to guest lecture at a middle school. Compared to the others, Angel was lucky. Her elderly grandmother provided support, but Angel often found herself racing around, taking her to the... As a result, Angel was often late for class, and one day she completely lost it, feeling hopeless. She scolded Lant as an ignorant jerk, then calmed down and explained her lateness with her grandmother, clearing up the misunderstanding. Because she didn't want to return to that sinking lifestyle, as the exams approached, Rant's overworked health continued to plummet. Her inner fire ignited again, and on Christmas Day, with the weight of the world on her shoulders, she finally collapsed on her way home. She woke up in a hospital bed. Doctors cited heart issues from overwork, requiring a month's rest. Yet the calculus exam was in just 2 weeks. Hearing this, the students fell silent, worsening their already dim future. Yet dedicated Rant didn't retreat, organizing insights and knowledge from his bed. He asked nurses to pass on study materials. When the teacher improved, they cheered his return, transforming doubts into enthusiasm. The students rushed to the window, forming an excited line as Rant inspired them with motivating words more than just teaching. During the exam, they confidently wrote their answers on the paper. As the ink flowed, all the pressure seemed to shrink away. For the exam, attitude was key. They knew these achievements were paving the way for a brilliant future. As their pens flowed smoothly across the pages, in that moment, the students' dreams became within reach. After the exam, they made a pact to go to the sea together and let loose completely. Shimmering sunlight painted the ocean, and dreams soared to new heights. From that moment on, they looked toward the sky, and post-exam, they headed to the sea. A gentle breeze brushed against their smiles, lifting their fatigue into thin air, healing the hardships of the past. Countless sleepless nights found redemption at this moment, and all those unnoticed efforts would eventually bring them luck. John, who was repairing a car, suddenly spotted Judy stuffing a letter into the mailbox. Seeing his own passing grade for the Calc exam, his emotions were on a roller coaster, joy swelling in his heart. The principal declared that every single one of the 18 students in the class passed the calculus exam, achieving scores that completely outshone other high schools in Southern California. The principal proudly took all the credit, conveniently overlooking Rant's contributions. Students couldn't stand it and interrupted the principal's speech, declaring, "Let me take over." Only then did the humble Rant sheepishly step forward for a photo with the students. He seemed calm, yet his heart may have surged. Students, thrilled by exam success, enjoyed their last high school vacation. But on that day, the arrival of a phone call completely shattered this unprecedented tranquility. Due to matching mistakes on their exams, the education board suspected collective cheating and temporarily invalidated their score. The sudden bad news struck like a thunderbolt, making the usually optimistic Anna instantly lose her luster. John's mood regarding car repair was also affected, and Angel was once again overwhelmed by confusion. In other words, the investigator specifically sent 2 investigation officers to come and collect evidence. The principal had already washed her hands clean, jerking responsibility and advising the students to fess up to their crimes. However, they didn't expect anyone to admit a non-existent crime. Without useful info, investigators turned threatening towards the girls. This frustrated Angel, and she decided to fight back. She promptly engaged the first investigator with a clever response. The investigator was amused by her words. Angel even struck a pose as if asking to be arrested. Subtitles. Her provocation ended up making the two investigators feel utterly humiliated, and as a result, they instantly lost patience with this group of students, choosing to easily strip them of their hard-won achievements. Lant immediately sought out the math director for help, but found he held the same firm belief of collective cheating. Hearing that, Lant decided not to wait and sought to clear the students' names by asking the investigators to see their exams. But the investigators rejected his request outright, leaving Lant fuming and storming out angrily. To his surprise, upon exiting, he discovered his old clunker had been stolen right in broad daylight. All he could do was go home, seeing the cars flowing all around him, feeling utterly defeated. The students' futures took a sharp nosedive due to baseless suspicion, and as a teacher, he felt completely powerless. In the end, Lant found the investigators asking to see the students' exams, only to be met with icy refusals. All that remained was a feeling of disappointment and a sense of defeat. Back home, facing his wife's comforting words, he couldn't shake the deep sense of guilt, fearing this failure might crush the students and shatter their trust in society. Yet, he underestimated their resilience. At that moment, Angel appeared with her car at the window. It turned out that they had previously damaged the car's central console, but now they had decided to repair the car, even expressing optimistically that they were willing to retake the examination to prove their innocence. The other 17 students echoed her sentiment, willing to give it another shot, but they only had 3 short days to prepare. Lant advised everyone not to bring anything, wear pocketed clothing, and stay focused during the exam to ensure they were bulletproof. He even invited a few students over to his house so they could study while enjoying his cooking. The next day, the exam rolled around as scheduled, with larger spacing between the desks and the investigators on site to oversee. The questions were tougher this time, but for these skilled students, it was no problem at all. They felt great, confidently writing answers on their papers. The tough questions fell away as if their smooth future was edging closer. This time, the exam's outcome was no longer just about the grades for the students. The expectations they've stirred up for the future are already incredibly beautiful. 2 days later, when the grading office called the principal, the results were all set in stone. After careful scrutiny and counting, all student scores were finalized. The 2 investigators had no more excuses for doubt. The whole ordeal had come to an end, and their scores were undoubtedly a source of pride.